The big question about Brock Lesnar has been answered. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is and why people should be talking about it, because I think more focus should be on it. Look, Brock Lesnar, well, he's been away for a while. Why? Well, let's break it down. Lesnar was dropped from WWE plans earlier this year, including notable matches at the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and WrestleMania 40, due to the sex trafficking lawsuit Janelle Grant filed against John Laurinaitis, Vince McMahon, and WWE. In the lawsuit, a former WWE/UFC heavyweight champion was named. And a lot of people thought, well, this could be the end of Brock Lesnar. This could be the final countdown for Brock Lesnar in terms of in a wrestling capacity. Obviously, last year, he was in a notable feud with Cody Rhodes. They did 3 straight matches. I actually really enjoyed that program, right? They finished up at SummerSlam. We have not seen Brock Lesnar since then. It helped Cody get on his way, his path to the World Heavyweight Championship, or the Undisputed WWE Championship, whichever you want to call it, right? It's the World Champion on SmackDown. He dethroned Roman Reigns following that. That was a key figure in Cody Rhodes' time, and you can credit Brock Lesnar for that, because whether you like him or you don't, you think he's overrated or underrated, Brock Lesnar is one of the biggest names to ever come out of WWE. And yes, his UFC run greatly helped that. But even going back to 2002, 2003, and early 2004, Brock Lesnar was a top guy. He was a multiple-time world champion. He headlined WrestleMania with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19. At the time, he became the youngest WWE champion. He was a pretty household name, if you think about it, until he departed. But when it comes to Brock Lesnar, ever since he returned in 2012, well, he's always been at the top of the card, regardless of his Omos match at WrestleMania 39. I have no idea what that was all about. Well, I can tell you about it. It was Vince McMahon wanting to put Omos at a big spot and then only have him just essentially get squashed by Brock Lesnar. It made no sense. But him and Brock, as we know from this lawsuit, well, they're kind of tight. They're kind of a package deal. They are very close. But when it comes to Brock Lesnar under Triple H, let's not forget, Brock Lesnar walked out of his SmackDown at one point because he didn't like the creative of the idea that Vince would no longer be with the company when he, quote-unquote, resigned. Now, that leads us to today's video, because fans noticed on Monday Night Raw this week, well, there was a lot of interesting situations going on. There was a lot of interesting references, including Seth Rollins. He was advised by Adam Pearce in the backstage segment not to take the match with Bronson Reed, someone in which he's been feuding with for quite some time now. And Rollins reminded him that he had slayed Beast before. Then there was a reference to Lesnar and Cody Rhodes' in-ring segment with Gunther, where he stated that he had slain a frightening beast. Now that leads us to an interesting development, because when the Wall Street Journal later identified Lesnar as that former world champion in the lawsuit, the lawsuit, well, it's been on freeze essentially since earlier this summer, and reportedly it won't be back until December in terms of it being on the docket and proceedings are going forward because the feds are investigating it. Now, WWE's legal team, they've yet to clear Lesnar, and until then, he won't be back on television. On a recent edition of Backstage Pass Q&A, it was asked whether Lesnar was returning to WWE following the Raw references. And this is what Bill Apter said, that they were talking. WrestleVotes, which is Broken Past Stories, noted, I'll give you the short answer, yes, that was a direct quote, that Lesnar is returning. Just to add, Fightful Select is reporting that Brock Lesnar is not factored into creative plans. There's been no mention of Brock Lesnar as of late, and it was once again said that until this federal investigation into the allegations and Lesnar being cleared, he's not returning. So before you get into the comments, Lesnar is not factored into any plans right now. So let's set the scene. I don't think it's that far of a stretch to think that Brock Lesnar is returning to WWE. Think about it. He was used under Triple H, so it's not a Triple H Vince McMahon thing, regardless of him walking out that one time, right? He came back that night. He continued to work under Triple H, and Triple H, honestly, he used him pretty well, right? He booked him to beat Almost, and then the Cody Rhodes trilogy, right? Gunther confirmed that the original plan was for him to work with Brock at WrestleMania 40 earlier this year. A dream match for fans, a dream match for Gunther, who has always called Brock Lesnar his final boss. Someone in which he would like to retire, kind of thing. And having Gunther do that, well, that's not a bad way to go out. Do I think that Brock Lesnar will return to WWE? Yes, I do. Why? Because he's a businessman. He's a businessman who can make a ton of money for a limited amount of work, and it can still do it physically. And if you noticed in this last few, years since he returned in 2021, he's a different Brock, right? People call him Cowboy Brock, whether it's his look or his promo ability or his in-ring work. There's something different about him. It's almost like he has a second lease on life. If you recall, Paul Heyman has talked about how Brock Lesnar considered himself retired after WrestleMania 36 in 2020 when he dropped the WWE Championship to Drew McIntyre. Why was that? Well, because the pandemic happened, WWE let him go, and he's done it all. Like, that's not bad to go out, dropping the WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. It's not bad, right? But then he came back, and he was more loose, and he showed more personality. And unlike his previous runs, he enjoyed talking on the mic, and he did so as a babyface, which is harder than being a heel, most wrestlers would say. So he had more fun. He makes a ton of money for a limited amount of work. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to complete that? It wasn't like it was by his design that he stopped working. It was the lawsuit, all right? Because Brock Lesnar, he's known to take various hiatuses from WWE, and this was his latest one. And then he was going to return to the Royal Rumble, and he was going to start the program with Gunther. And they got nixed. But that wasn't his call. So if it's not your call and you still want to do it, and then you have the opportunity to resume it, well, most people would pick up the phone call and say, yes, I'll do that. And I think that's what's going to happen with Brock. When do we get Brock back? Well, it's October. It's the middle of October. You have Crown Jewel coming up. I don't think he's going to be there, even though the Saudis love paying for him. I don't think he's going to be at Survivor Series. Maybe Saturday night's main event, but I highly doubt it. The Royal Rumble makes sense, right? He's returned in the past at the Royal Rumble, including plans for this year. It starts his road to WrestleMania, right? If you really want to go fantasy book it, why not have Brock return in the Men's Royal Rumble match, a likely landing spot? Why not have him win said match? Why not have him earn a shot at a championship of his choosing? Why not choose Gunther in the World Heavyweight title? And why not book Brock Lesnar versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 40 in Las Vegas? Like, that's a big, big time match. And you can have Gunther win that match. He doesn't have to drop the title to Brock. It only elevates Gunther, and it elevates Brock. And it's a big match with big names, with big stakes, and big time expectations that I think fans would like to see. So we'll see where things go, but that's the latest with Brock Lesnar.